anyone can be a content creator, but not everyone could do this as a full-time career.
Anyways, scuff aside, how's it going, Tessa? Do you want to introduce yourself and what you do to my chat?
Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. I was Suris's manager, and I still help him out time to time when I can. He's also a good friend to me, and I to him. I am a manager and producer for VTubers. I produce with people's videos and debuts. I work with the management aspect for people's brands overall. And I've been doing this for 3 years. Went to school at Arizona State University and got a bachelor's of science in digital marketing and got all sorts of certifications and have over a decade of content creation experience.
Awesome. Well, that's definitely gives you a little bit of a leg up over most people who are trying to do YouTube and Twitch full time, where they're just kind of doing their best on their own and just winging it the entire time.
I'm okay, I think.
Just a little bit. No, and for those who don't know, the only reason Tessa's not my manager currently is as the channel itself has been sitting in weird spots for various reasons. I'm just literally not able to afford her services. I had to do a lot of reshuffling of everybody who helps out with the channel for monetary gain. So that was fun. Both Tessa and Raj ended up having their positions shuffled a bit. So now
I will do everything in my power to make sure we're at least at TwitchCon together next year.
I would love to be able to go there, honestly. It was... As long as it's not like TwitchCon 2022 was for everybody.
So what are we talking about today? I am very curious.
So, what we're going to be talking about today is there's been a bit of a shift recently in the type of content that YouTube is promoting and the way that their algorithm functions. I know a little bit about it. YouTube has been pushing smaller creators more often. For those of you who have been looking through, say, the YouTube Shorts feed, you'll notice every third or fifth video, there's usually a non-viral, 0 to 3 view, 0 to 3 like video that comes up in your feed now, and that used to not happen. And also, you've probably noticed that's a thing that's been happening more on your YouTube feed in general, is there's more smaller channels that are coming up. But there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than just showing a couple of smaller creators, and I figured that you might be able to help us with that.
I am, and I also just sent you a perfect goddamn example that I just saw today.
Okay, let me go ahead and take a look at this. Me spends hours working on content with clickable titles and thumbnails, writing script and videos and strategies. YouTube just showcases literally a random 9-second video, 287,000 views. Yep, that is unironically something that's been happening more and more on the YouTube platform.
3 months ago, and okay. What's interesting about that is you can make like 1,001 guesses as to why that's happening, but we have to use Occam's razor for this. And Occam's razor says, what if people just miss their fucking grandmas?
Yeah. You got to think, a lot of people who are everybody uses YouTube. Everybody uses YouTube. Also, Cat Bingo over in the YouTube chat says, sorry, who was the guest? The guest today is Tessa. She is a wonderful friend of mine. She used to work as my YouTube manager and now works more as my YouTube agent, finding anything for me to do outside of just YouTube stuff, a lot of it being centered in voice acting areas. So
And finding you collabs and stuff.
Yeah, and so that's what Tessa's job got moved into. So Tessa and I still work together, but this is Tessa. And we've actually hung out together a few times in real life as well. So if anybody tries to say anything disparaging, I can just go to her house and give her cake.
Aww.
I'm just kidding. That's a very long drive. I'm not doing that.
So there is a lot to talk about with this, and I can see why you would want me to talk about this. Is another motivation perhaps that a lot of people in your own chat want to start making videos?
There are a lot of people who have approached me saying that me doing VTubing, me talking about what I do on my channel, a lot of times just honestly me talking about what's on my mind and not really having much of a filter has given them. Sometimes they say that it gives them the courage to make their own content. Sometimes they've said that it's made them want to make their own videos, their own shorts, their own, talking about things that they've gone through. I don't know the different ways in which what I do on this platform affects other people wanting to do stuff, but apparently there are some people who watch my stuff who want to become content creators in some form or fashion themselves. And a lot of them end up doing it very, very blindly. And as a result, they tend to ask me for help and ask me for information. And usually the only information I can give them is just make content. Don't sit down and, think about it for the next 5 months. Don't try to make the best video you possibly can. Don't do any of that dumb shit. Just go, hey, here's the thing I like. Just do the thing. And then when you do the thing and recognize you suck at it, you'll start realizing, oh, now how can I improve? Now you've got an area you can move in. Now you've got a direction you can go. But that's usually the most advice I can give because I'm doing this as blindly as anybody else.
And see, expert of like over a dozen years here, over a decade of fucking experience with this, I can also say that's the best step zero you could ever do for yourself, because in my stream just earlier I was just talking about in the first hour I was talking a lot about you need to just get started, because content creation is a set of skills. Like any skills, you have to start from somewhere. Your first stream, your first videos, they're gonna suck ass.
Mm-hmm.
I can curse, right?
You can say the fuck word, the shit word, the crap word.
PG-13?
More than that. I literally just talked about Gardevoir with a strap-on bending Misty over and making her bleed come out of her mouth. So, I mean...
Shit piss nuggets. Okay,
there you go. Cool.
You can hear Yumi in the background now, because the noise gate is off. Okay.
Oh, no, we have to hear you. Oh, that's so terrible. God, there's so many people in my chat that are probably upset to hear more Yumi.
So, yeah, you're gonna suck ass starting content, and even event planning too. You're gonna suck ass at planning events. You're gonna suck ass at managing yourself and being productive. You're gonna suck ass at video editing. Literally everything involved. You're wearing like 10 different hats and trying to expect to make like thousands of dollars from content creation or have a massive audience out the gate is just not fucking feasible. It's not healthy. It's not going to do you any good, and you're likely going to burn out immediately. Even if you did start from nothing and you did try, if your expectations are not managed, you're going to burn out. And I've seen way too many people burn out over the years. And so like for me, when I'm working with someone, because I do consultations as well, I do management, I work with people who are both big and small. People who are as big as like having 80,000 subscribers, and people as little as having like 5 subscribers, and I need to try to work with them and build up their stuff. Trying to make a plan, sometimes the best plan, yeah, you just start, but you have to be consistent. That's the next step 0.5. Be consistent. If you're intending, like let's say you work full-time, right? Mm-hmm. Let's just say you are an electrician, which is also relevant because one of Yumi's mods is an electrician, and I believe they want to make content. So for that kind of person, let's just say their name is Chad VT.
Sure, Chad VT the electrician.
Chad VT the electrician. He is depressed and exhausted with life. America is going to shit, and he wants to move the fuck out of America. But he's also like, I don't have the money to move out. I'm an electrician. Yes, I have a union job. Yes, but I don't exactly have the funds to uproot my life and go to like Sweden, or Nihongo, Japan. I don't exactly have money to move across the Atlantic. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to start making content because I need some sort of creative outlet. I need to work with the absurdity of fucking life, and I'm gonna have some sort of creative outlet. And Chad VT, he decides, what's next to me? The fucking woods. I'm gonna go start doing bushcraft. I'm gonna go into the woods, and I don't know for how long. He goes into the woods, comes out 100 days later, makes a video. I was in the woods for 100 days. Here's what happened. Literally, thumbnail is like him just being depressed in like a sunset, a beautiful sunset in the woods, and he's depressed. And the little fucking title could be like, I'm out in the woods for 100 days, and here's what happened. And that's it. It's just, rough around the edges. And it was even something that was, when you upload a video, you get these thumbnail previews. He just chose one of them, and that's it. So Chad VT right here, he's like, I like doing forest bathing. I want to take it a step further. And I have no expectations what's going to happen. And Chad VT here is like out in the woods, and he comes back all roughed and edged. He's just gonna be like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And he it's a new hobby that he has, and Chad VT is just gonna start exploring the hobby of bushcraft and survival. And so Chad VT is now going to make a channel, upload that video, and let's just say it gets 15 views. It's his first video. It's like 4 hours long. It's like a 4-hour long vlog.
It is the roughest around the edge thing you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, but then some jackass on Reddit finds him, posts it to like this obscure subreddit for bushcrafting or some bullshit like that. Chad VT gets some new subscribers. But let's just say he's not lucky and he has to go through that again. He does it again. But you want to know why he's going to succeed in the long term? It's because he has low expectations. He doesn't know he doesn't know how this is going to go. He's just doing this because it's what he wants to do. It's fun. It's something relaxing. And he wants to share the process with people. And so you can choose any goddamn niche you want. Anything in the world. I've even worked with people who didn't know what the fuck they wanted to do. And I told them, hey, why don't you make your content exploring different hobbies and just have that be the thing for a while? Then when you land on a hobby, you focus in on that a little bit and you implement it in your content a little bit of it. And then if you get tired of it, go back to the grinder and find new hobbies. If you don't know what it is you want to do, what you're passionate about, what your hobbies are, you don't have any hobbies, anyone can be a content creator. But not everyone could do this as a full-time career.
As opposed to the person who goes, I see X creator. Let's say they see Mr. Beast. They go like, hey, I see Mr. Beast, and I look at all the money he's making. I want to make that money, so I want to make a video on the most popular thing that's trending right now, so I can make all of the money. And then, after I make that video, I'll look at the next trending thing, and then I'll do that. And then that person in 2 months is burnt out, and they hate life, and they've made no money. They've done nothing.
My face when they take out student loans just to do the thing.
Yeah, no, I've seen all kinds of like, I'm gonna stop everything I'm doing to become a content creator because that's the career I want to do. And I cannot stress enough, do not
don't quit your day job.
Yeah, don't quit your day. So when I
take out
started
loans either.
So I have had ups and downs on my channel. I'm in a down area right now for a variety of reasons. Mental health, channel instability. I had a copyright hit that was really, really bad that just ate into my channel's ability to perform in the algorithm for a solid month. 3 ads, by the way, that production company, I'm just going to call them out right now. Pieces of flaming shit. Anyways. So when I started my channel, it took me about 2 years before I was able to make even the first $100, $200 off of my own content. It took me, let's see, what was it? Almost a year? Almost a year to get monetized at all. And then even then, it took me a while to start making any amount of money. I was paying for groceries off of Patreon money. And the Patreon money was like $100 a month, maybe, which was great for going to Aldi and getting hot dogs. Like that was about what it could be. But there have been times in my career being a content creator where YouTube has paid me out a $4,000 check. And there have been times after that where YouTube has paid me out an $800 check. While my expenses have been identically the same both times. So ask yourself, with any job you're working right now, could you just randomly take a 80% deduction in your salary for a month or two? Or would that completely devastate you? If the answer is no, then maybe don't try to do content creation full-time immediately. Maybe don't try that quite yet, because that's the reality of doing content creation, is that shit will just happen to you.
Here's another thing with a lot of people I work with too. So it's interesting you bring up of like the time that you can put aside. If you don't feel like you can do it full time, then don't try to do it full time. Here's another unpopular opinion too, because I'll loop back with my ADHD brain, but I need to say this. Fuck, I just lost the train of thought. Okay, I'm back on it. If you yourself find yourself as a content creator, and you're doing things haphazardly, and you're not able to keep up a consistent schedule, like on Twitch, you have to be consistent. Now that there's multi-streaming, you have to prioritize Twitch for quality and not combine chats. But if you want to multi-stream, if Suris continues multi-streaming to Twitch, he's meeting certain fulfillments with that. So if he were to stream minimum 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, which he definitely passes with flying colors. If he's able to do that, then he's able to meet those minimum requirements. There are minimum requirements for success on Twitch, but the one big asterisk is your value to your audience. Because, for example, there's very, very few channels that can get away with streaming once a week or once a month. I've done a lot of studying to find those channels. They are so goddamn rare, and they don't scale well for the most part, because they're also haphazard in their scheduling. And so now with the effort that I'm doing, I'm only trying to do once a week. And what do? I bring my job to the hobby a little bit, and I'm just giving free public education. That's all I want to do. I've wanted to be a teacher my whole life, so now I'm doing it once a week, and thus it becomes an event. It becomes something that's not exactly common. It's very accessible all of a sudden, because for my prices, I have raised them because I deserve that kind of pay for what I do. The results are there for people, and so instead of paying like $185 on VGen for an onboarding consultation with me, if you study hard enough and you actually try the thing yourself, you could make that kind of investment more valuable versus trying to treat someone like me as the golden ticket. Because I get a lot of people who are like that, who come to me and expect a golden ticket, but it's just never going to work like that.
No, because what's happening when they're doing that typically is they're looking at you and going, oh, this is somebody who can solve all my problems. This is somebody who I can stop doing the work. I can hand this project off to somebody. They treat it like delegation, and it can't be that, because at the end of the day, if you're not already seeing some measure of success on YouTube or on Twitch, you're doing something wrong, and your job's not going to get easier when you hire somebody like Tessa. Your job's going to get harder, because Tessa's gonna tell you, these are the things you need to do to fix your shit, and they're not going to be easy things for you to do if you've not already been doing them. You're going to have to start developing habits developing a schedule, developing a style, developing something for your audience to latch onto, which are things that you've probably not had up to this point if you've not already been seeing some measure of success.
Correct. And so the other thing is like, if you're not providing that value in the first place, because at the end of the day, we live in a fucking capitalist hellhole. And so the creator economy is one in which also has another economy attached to it. It's called the attention economy. I was going to talk about this earlier, but it's a good time to bring it up now.
I'm going to interrupt for just 1 second, Tessa, and I'm terribly sorry.
No, go for it.
We just got rated by Hannah Reloaded, so I wanted to go ahead and say thank you, Hannah. I greatly appreciate it. We're going to be doing another collaboration at some point here during the subathon with Hannah as well. So if anybody's looking forward to that, please do so. Please, mods, we can get a shout out for Hannah Reloaded. And Sombra, thank you very much for the follow. Everybody who is coming in from Hannah's, we are talking about content creation right now with my friend Tessa. There should be a shout out for Tessa available as well that mods can do. But thank you very much, Hannah, for the raid. I just wanted to go ahead and do that real quick. She's a good friend. Sorry, Tessa.
No, it's okay. Hello, Hannah. Thank you for rating him. I'm glad that you bring all your audience to hear this helpful advice for a lot of people who are wanting to get started with content creation. And so I was going to bring up the attention economy, because that is a very important thing to keep in mind. One of our biggest currencies is your attention. With social media, it's free, but what is actually the product? That would be the user. You are the product. And who's buying it? Advertisers. Advertisers are buying your data, and they're utilizing it to sell you products. And that's the creator economy in a nutshell. For people like Suris in mind, you have a community here. You've built this up over time. You are providing a value to people by reporting on the news, giving your take on stuff, having fun, and also doing streamer stuff. And so you have your own little thing going on here. But with utilizing social media, you are bound to these rules. And so when we're dealing with the attention economy, that is something that's not going to be easily overcome because at some point you do get big enough to be where you are the one dictating where that economy goes. And so that's where you become something like a trendsetter. And you're either following trends or you're making them. And so where I like to hedge my bets is making the trends in the first place. And so one of the most difficult things to do is to make those trends, because if you are doing the thing, like if you're like a VTuber, for example, and you're doing something like bushcraft, like Chad VT, and he does it as a VTuber, no one's ever done that before. It's really novel, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to take off. It's actually a lot more difficult, but it's also worth the risk ultimately, because you're doing exactly what you want to do. You're expressing yourself exactly the way you want. There will be people who want exactly what you're doing. And in my opinion, this was the other thing I was going to circle back around. Not everyone is built for streaming. That's just a cold hard fact that I have to tell people every now and then when I'm working with people, is that streaming is not for everyone, nor is content creation, period. If you're able to have a lot of self-discipline, and if you want a method of creative expression, and you're okay with showcasing people, your life, what you're doing, just talking to people, and you're used to actually talking to yourself, there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind like that. And so for those who are wanting to do content creation and do have those qualities, but don't necessarily have the ability to be super hyper consistent, like what streaming services need from you, like Twitch specifically, you're better off uploading videos to YouTube. And if you want to live stream on YouTube, that is something else we can unravel. But needless to say, no matter what you do, you have to upload videos. You have, like Sir said earlier, you have to get started before you actually move forward. And if you're at least uploading something over time and you're staying consistent to your theming, you're staying consistent to what it is you want to do, that channel will grow because YouTube is built for that. And that's something we can actually talk about, is the inner workings of YouTube.
So I do want to talk about the inner workings of YouTube, and there's something that I've noticed on it that I wanted to bring up as well. So the type of streaming that I do on Twitch does actually not translate well over to YouTube, which is something that it's the reason why I was trepidatious to stream on YouTube and Twitch, not simultaneously before the new partner agreements, but I used to do a Sunday stream on YouTube to try to expand my audience there. My type of streaming on Twitch is very haphazard. I start my stream, I talk with my audience. I may get around to the topics that are in the title after 3 or 4 hours. I may get around to them immediately, and there might be some gaming in there. It's very largely unfocused. The end result over on YouTube ends up looking very focused because I know how to cut out the segments from my stream that people are going to watch as an edited video. That's just a skill I've developed over time. However, on YouTube, and I don't know if this is because of the way I've cultivated my audience or what, but on YouTube, I used to receive more viewers on YouTube, somewhere between 300 and 400, when I would do focused topic streams, usually 1 to 2 hours, but the 8-hour streams I do on Twitch that have the topics within them, but they are not the main focus, those do not perform anywhere near as well over on YouTube. And I don't know if that's a product of the way the YouTube environment is pre-primed, or if that's something else. Maybe you had some thoughts on that.
So I think this is actually a good example for the entire audience, because if there are partners watching, this is going to be one of those things I call a partner problem. And this is a really difficult predicament to go around. And sometime near the end of my stream, there was another person who was in even a worse situation, because he was doing specifically Tarkov videos and tactical shooter comedy videos, mind you. So you got two very specific things going on. And then he shifts. We work together, we improve the quality of his videos, but then we start shifting to animation. He wants to focus more on animation and storytelling. And he's improving rapidly, exponentially on Blender. Like, this man is actually hired at a studio now. His name is Bian Baku. He is fucking phenomenal at making his animation now. His character models are goddamn good. His animations, they're getting better and better with every moment he's at that studio now. But the net effect of that was an audience rebellion. He was not able to do what he wanted to do, and now he's considering making a new channel specifically to make that animation dream come true. And so for him, he's now taking my old advice of basically starting up a new channel, come big dick swinging hard into that new channel, schedule out really high quality animation videos once a month. And I think with the help of like a Reddit strategy, he's going to do quite fine. You know, that gets shared around to different Discords. He posts it to the correct subreddits. They're going to take notice of his really good animation. He's just sharing his passion at that point. Yeah. And at this point as well, he also has the credentials of working at a studio. And so for something like that, that happened over time, but shifting could also be a new chapter in a creator journey that could end up benefiting you long term, because the way that YouTube works, especially so with your channel, is through categorization. And so they have, when someone says that they're getting, like, I hear this a lot, where someone is getting quote unquote fucked by the algorithm, implying that there's one algorithm. The truth of the matter is there's hundreds of algorithms. One of those, some are very small and minor, some are ginormous and complex, with many different algorithms all playing a part, directed by an AI. this one in particular dictates how channels are made and how channels continue to grow, or the opposite, don't grow. And that thing is the categorization algorithm. It's a set of algorithms dictated by an AI that assigns different tags to your channel. So, for example, with you, you're overwhelmingly politics, but you also have the VTuber tag. And so, between politics and VTuber, they will send it out to people with a watch history of watching that kind of content. And they'll try to test against different types of viewers. So they're doing aggressive amounts of testing over thousands and thousands of accounts. So when you see in your YouTube studio, the impressions so you go to YouTube studio, go to a random video, and you go on the reach tab, you should see a funnel breakdown of of what's happening with that. So when you see impressions, what's happening is that's what we call a top funnel metric. And so you have your impressions, which all an impression is like if you open up your YouTube or even Twitter or Instagram, TikTok, the moment you set eyes on something, that's an impression. You don't even have to engage with it. And so what they're testing is whether or not you actually click on the thing or not. And beyond just clicking on it, they're also testing how long you're actually watching a thing. Hence why you have the metric average view duration and watch time hours.
Which is where we get the term video drop-off from.
Yeah, and so another thing is they're also testing many other different things. Is the person sharing the video through the share function? Are they commenting? Are they rewatching? So are they like watching the video and then like rewinding back to a moment and then watching again, and or are they skipping around the video? So they try to build a profile of viewer behavior based on each account and how it's used. And so the same thing is true with creators. They need to make a creator profile versus a viewer profile. And how do they do that? They would I actually know how this works. So the way they do it is they look at what you upload yourself and how those tests go. So let's say Chad VT with his bushcraft survival videos. They're not much, but they are gaining a lot of average view duration and watch time hours, and they may not have the best retention. Let's just say his retention's like 5% out of 100. Chad VT, for those people who are the 5%, he is getting an insane amount of people actually watching a lot of those 4-hour vlogs, for example, or like 20-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour. A lot of these videos are getting watched. People want to see longer things, and there's other reasons why it is, but a really big thing is there's always a culture and a counterculture, right? You probably talk about that a lot, counterculture stuff. And so in this case, you can apply the same thing to viewer behavior. And so where the culture is sensationalism, you have a counterculture of authenticity. These things are like on a scale and a spectrum all at the same time. Some things that are authentic have a little bit of sensationalism. Some things that are sensational have a little bit of authenticity in it. And so they kind of oscillate. And some things work better than others for different channels. And so one of the things that is really important to understand about this counterculture and rise of authenticity is that people are getting tired of TikTok. But at the same time, there's a place for that sensationalism. There will be people who succeed from that. And right now we have kingmaker systems left and right. And so for different niches...
Do you want to define what a kingmaker system is?
Okay, so think about a bell curve. So you have one end of the bell curve, the middle where the bell is, and then the other end. So on the other end, you have the top 1%. And then the rest would be everyone else. So a kingmaker system is where a few amount of people get the utmost amount of traction, engagement, whatever you want to call it, they get the majority, the lion's share of attention. Remember the term attention economy.
Yeah.
They're the clear winners of that attention economy. Hence the bell curve. And so with Kingmaker system, you have that in mind. And so Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, they have their Kingmaker systems, but with YouTube, it's probably the most fair platform around right now. But I'll get back to that. And what's going on is when you niche down, there's going to be different variations of that Kingmaker system. Some niches are harsher than others. And when it comes to something that's sensational, everyone is trying to one-up each other. And so it gets exhausting for a good amount of people, but there's clearly millions of people who enjoy it. There's going to be a market for that. And so that's why you have the culture and the counterculture. The counterculture is up and rising. It's small, but it's growing. And I'm talking at a big scale because, like you saw with Grandma, she has 250,000 views, and her video is literally called September 30th, 2023. And she's literally like, is this thing fucking on?
And so I want to say that it could be that YouTube might actually be operating with sort of a pendulum system now. So when YouTube began, there were not a lot of algorithms on the back end. Everything was very bare bones because it was one of the first video sharing platforms of its kind. Like Dailymotion, and a bunch of others tried to do their thing at the end of the .com boom. And the content that did the best on the platform tended to be very authentic, from the heart content in the beginning, because that's the stuff that people resonated with. And then as people started seeing return on investment from YouTube, we started seeing more inauthentic artificial content. Not AI generated, because that wasn't quite a concept back then, but we started to get more content that was made for audiences. Let's do a game show because that's what people are liking. Let's do a thing based on what audiences are liking, not based on the things that I want. Think what Smosh became 3-4 years ago versus what Smosh was 15 years ago. Just think of an idea of what those two things look like, and you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about. The content you're describing seems to be like what Smosh was 15 years ago, as they were exploding, even though that type of content started becoming less and less valuable to produce over time.
Bingo. And so we have a real life example of dialectics at play. And so we find ourselves going completely 360 back to 2006, where that was nothing but authenticity, but then you had a quick pendulum swing over to sensationalism, and that's where you had all of your early hoaxes, all of your early prank videos that were obviously fake, but because they looked so much like everything else, a lot of people believed it. Media literacy wasn't as high back then. It still arguably isn't high, and as long as media literacy is low, you're always going to have this pendulum shift. And so we have to understand where people are. And so if you are like Chad VT and you're just starting off, you don't need to worry about having a high budget production. You just need to niche down and continue improving as you go. You need to do the thing and aim to do it well. That goes with anything in life. You have to work hard. You have to actually try to improve. Don't be complacent. Because unless you are really well connected, you don't, if you're well connected, you don't have to work that hard. You will naturally progress if you're well connected. But if you aren't connected, you do have to work hard, but you need to work smart. And you have to also be very resilient as you go. Because this stuff is not easy. You will feel down and wonder why people are not watching your videos. Or you could be absolutely lucky. And as much as people want to have sunshine and rainbows about all this stuff, people do get lucky. It's a thing that happens. And You can grind your happy ass to like Twitch partner, for example, and get up to like 75, 80 CCV. But if an event doesn't happen, it's just not going to, you're not going to blow up. And there's actually a good case study for this. Think about like Shy Lily, for example. The whoop person.
Yeah.
So for her, she grinded her happy ass to partner. It was really rough for her starting out. But then when she debuted, Veibe from VShojo started giving her mad shit for some reason. No one, and it's like no one liked that, and they all supported her in droves. And she had a massive debut, exploded, and then retained that. And that's the key thing. She retained that traffic. And so whenever you get rated, whenever you get traffic and impressions from Twitch, there's a possibility that you can retain those people and start getting follows, and then they become a returning viewer. Important metric right there is returning viewers. You can find it on YouTube and Twitch. So if you retain those people, that's how you can continue to grow. That's the most surefire way to make organic growth work on any platform. But you have to provide that value again. With Shy Lily, she was already talented. No matter what you think about her, she's able to put on a character, do it goddamn well, be very entertaining, improv goddamn well, and that's how she was able to entertain. Her foundations were really good. There's an intentional production going on there, and she herself is always improving with that exact foundations. Sure, it gets a little rusty. She becomes complacent for a while, does a lot of the same stuff, but then over time, she will improve. And that's why she is still very relevant as a top indie. Same thing can go for any other niche you can think of. For these people, the luck blows up because they themselves are talented. A lot of people are not talented.
There had to be something there in the beginning first.
Yeah, so there's exceptions to this with certain niches. Like if you look at like React channels,
XQC.
by and large, XQC came from the esports, specifically Overwatch. He was a good Overwatch player. Certainly not the best, but he was a good one. And so there was value there. And with him being an asshole on top of that, there's a market for that. A lot of conservative assholes love that shit. Think about all the controversial shit he does, and his only response is, I have more money than you, shut the fuck up. It's an asshole approach, but it appeals to an audience. It's part
of his brand. Like it's like we can say that it's bad because it is. His response to when he was reacting to Gaza, like his response was bad and awful, but it's also on brand. It's what he knows his audience wants. That doesn't make it a good thing. I'm saying that, I'll say that repeatedly so that the media illiterate people who might watch this video are going, Suris is supporting XQC. No, I'm not. I'm not.
It's just understanding his success is because, like, it's about markets and trying to appeal to a market. Especially when you're big, you focus down on your brand and you constantly reinforce that brand. Because with someone like XQC, he's always reaching outside of that audience. That's why he keeps getting into bigger and bigger and bigger dramas. He keeps picking fights left and right. He's on this drama train, and it's not going to end well. Someday he's going to be completely gone, and we're going to have a new XQC.
But by the time that happens, he'll already have 5 mansions and 2 retirements.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But he won't have that public spotlight anymore, and the next Andrew Tate, the next fucking asshole, will always take their place. Hell, Andrew Tate has already been replaced, for example. And the thing is like, for understanding your audiences, it's really important because, like, there's one thing that's true no matter what you do. No matter what niche, no matter how your approach is. When you're building a community and audience, they reflect you by and large. They also reflect literally what your content is. So 2 things are true at the same time. And so if you know your audience and you know your branding, alongside with actually just doing the thing, that's how you work smart. Because you can constantly improve how you do the video. So let's say Chad VT in going on bushcraft adventures, right? If he were to start to continue doing that, like he starts doing tutorials, he also starts doing, well, it's not necessarily tutorials, it's him trying to learn the damn thing in the first place. And it's kind of like a vlog tutorial of him haphazardly learning how to like cut firewood or some shit like that. He has a personality there, but also Chad VT is actually doing a thing, and he's relatable because he's not an expert at it. So there's the authenticity approach at play right there. But what he can also do is maybe not have 4-hour-long vlogs. And he sees his watch time metrics, and he sees, oh, only 1% of people are actually watching past like 2 hours. So something he could do is maybe not have 4-hour videos, but maybe have like 30-minute or 1-hour videos.
Which would basically mean him taking his content and curating the fluff away from it.
Bingo. So what you're doing now is you're thinking in a mindset of storytelling. So what are we doing here? We're increasing the pacing.
Also, real quick, Chesh, thank you so much for the raid. How was your stream? Chesh is another friend of the channel, and they are also an amazing artist for anybody who has not had a chance to commission her already. Anyway, I had to...
It's okay.
Another raid, so I had to be like, no, friend needs things.
It's okay. You don't have to explain yourself. But essentially, Chad VT is now curating his content a little bit. It's still authentic, but we're trying to be mindful of the audience here. We're trying to understand what they want, and you can clearly see what they want. If things start going down, if line goes down, how do we make go up? If line goes up, what happened? Okay, what if we did that again? It can be just as simple as that, especially starting out, but especially if you're like down and out, that's very basic problem solving analysis right there.
Yeah, so for instance, with me, my videos individually are performing about as well as they have before. The biggest issue right now is that videos are not gaining as much revenue as they used to because my RPM is down. My RPM is down, which is the amount of money... Oh, sorry.
I figured out what happened with that.
Oh, okay, cool. What's up?
It was the content strikes.
So the content strikes repeatedly just dropped my RPM down to zilch.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
So you're going to need to do a few things. Number one, you're going to need to unlist a lot of your videos that do have those content strikes, unfortunately.
Well, luckily, none of my videos have content strikes now.
Great. Okay, that's...
Because I won those appeals.
Oh my god, you did?
I've won every single appeal except one, and the one that I did not win was the one that, well, granted, the community guideline strikes have fallen off, so I can't see any of the ones that I might have not been able to catch, but I won my copyright one with 3 Ant Studios. 3 Ants never responded within 10 days of me sending my second legal notification to them, so... But unfortunately, a thing that I learned back when my channel was taken during COVID, if your channel gets hit by the algorithm, if your channel gets hit and is put in a bad place for any amount of time, it doesn't just revert back to good standing the minute that things fall off. You're still exactly where you were, and you have to build back up organically.
Correct. I was actually going to mention that was confirmed by YouTube staff, that, you know, if you had a lot of your content at least limited, if not just straight up in the red, if you're at least in the yellow, and a lot of them are in the yellow pretty often, yeah, you do become a flag for, because like if you look at YouTube safety reports, about 98% of content that is uploaded, I don't know, I don't remember the exact percentages, but the overwhelming majority of it, like, it is definitely up in the 90s. 90% of videos ever uploaded to YouTube do not make it to see the light of day anymore. Because they have an AI system that has an algorithm attached to it, specifically that scans content itself and then reviews it, and then based on things that are less shaky and less likely to actually be violations, they have human teams to review it. But I don't know how often they review how much of it, because there's literally millions of videos being uploaded at any given moment, or not any given day, excuse me. Like, there's so much videos on YouTube. and it's definitely a problem, and most of them violate community violations. And so when you do have suspicion of having a community violation, it will flag you automatically.
So basically, if I have anything on my channel that is in the red for a copyright violation or something, that basically needs to be delisted to put my channel in better standing.
Yes.
Well,
and like you said, it's not going to free up overnight. Hell, it could take months. It could even take a year of good behavior.
Isn't it great that YouTube has such an amazing system to basically ruin channels, and there's barely any way to get back your stuff, and YouTube is not actually very forthwith with information about what mistakes you've made? They make it very vague all the time.
Yeah, and your livelihood depends on it. Though there's also the other side of things where you only rely on humans to review everything, and you have the Facebook moderator issue where they're literally getting CPTSD doing their job because they're reviewing stuff that should be on the dark web.
Yeah,
like actual beheadings and stuff like that are on Facebook, and that will give people trauma if you watch so many of them. And then on the other end of content moderation, you would have a website like Kick, which actually just doesn't believe in its own terms of service and never enforces it. And so everyone's reputation goes down the drain, and social media is just kind of a mess when it comes to this stuff.
Like YouTube nuked Louis Rossman's channel for making a new video platform. That feels stupid, but it's a thing YouTube does.
I don't even know, like, because I've read the terms of service and community guidelines many times. There's nothing wrong about that, even in their own terms of service. So I have no idea what's going on with that. I'd have to actually like open up his channel and take a look.
Now I'm curious, if YouTube Shorts are demonetized, does that count towards total channel issues as well? Or is there a separate thing for that?
It's a video on your channel, so yeah.
Oh, cool. That's going to be interesting because as of right now, my channel has quite a few limited monetization shorts.
Oh yeah, you want to get rid of all of them.
Cool. That's... So does it have to be deleted, or is unlisting enough?
Unlisting should be enough, but better safe than sorry by deleting them.
Fun. I love YouTube. This is
and then when it comes to data
fun.
as well, it takes a rotation of 28 days to completely flush it all out. So once you unlist them or you delete them, it's going to take 28 days for the data to reflect it. And I imagine that for content review and those kind of flags that are on your channel, you can think about multiplying that by X amount. It could be like 2, 5 multiplier.
Huh. That's...
We have no idea how much.
I'm also seeing a lot of old videos of mine, because as we're having this conversation, I'm actively looking through my YouTube monetization stuff, because I figured it's probably a better idea than not to do that. As I'm looking through this, I'm noticing a lot of my older videos that were previously monetized are now demonetized. That's fun.
You mean from the past?
Yeah, like ones from months ago that had the green monetization symbol, and even some from like a couple weeks ago that passed their monetization checks initially have been demonetized now.
Right, and you're self-certifying and all that, so...
Yep.
You know what it also could be, unfortunately? It could be a bug.
Could be a bug in the YouTube system.
And you're taking the brunt end of that bug. It very well could be that too. Because if you self-certify, that is their answer to being like, hey, if you're honest with it and we are okay with it and the humans review it, there should be nothing ever wrong with it. And if it happens anyway, there's a good chance it's a bug.
Fun. So basically, everything with a yellow needs to be unlisted, which means I personally would lose... For me, the biggest thing is it's not losing the episodes that I'm worried about. It's the fan art section, the fan art that's put up there from viewers who watch my channel, because there's a very high art focus on my channel these days, and has been for a while now. My only upset in this is people who a huge thing for them is seeing their fan art showcased in a video. That video being taken down, it feels unfair to them to have to do something like that so that my channel can perform better.
I know. It's kind of shitty, but that's just the way it has to go. There's no, I mean, your livelihood is at stake, and I'd argue that, you know, I don't know, if chat's fine with it, your audience is fine with it on Discord, and everyone's like, yeah, I would much rather you be able to flourish as a creator than, you know, an archive not being there, then it's a value judgment you're going to have to make.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. It's not a fun thing to have to deal with, because the people who watch my channel, not only are they the thing that keeps me alive, literally, like the financial support that they give helps keep me running, but gotta consider, the model I'm using right now was made by Pernia. I hired Pernia from being a fan artist. My Slime Girl Suris model was made by Suzu Sawara, who started out as a fan artist. Damn near, like, the frame you're in right now, the animation behind you, done by Pernia. The artwork, done by Pernia. The actual frame you're in is an animation done by Yara Koro, who began, again, as a channel fan artist. Like, the people who submit fan art to my channel have become so important to the lifeblood of my channel. It hurts to have to do anything that takes their contributions away from my channel's history. Even if it's necessary, it sucks. Yeah.
It does, and it's unfortunate that you're put in that position.
I just realized that my, Oh, interesting. Did I have copyright issues on... Oh, my dispute was rejected. Neat. I didn't realize that I had a copyright fight with an Onision video that I lost. Interesting.
I mean, someone in chat highlighted, maybe reach out to people and see about editing together a showcase of anything that's attached directly to a vid that needs to be axed. Not a bad idea, and that's coming right from your community alone.
True. So that would be something that I would agree with as a cool idea, and would be a neat idea, except for one problem. The sheer volume of videos that I release on my channel makes that almost an impossible task. I release 2 10 to 40 minute videos every day of the week. That makes that a damn near impossible ask of anybody. What I might do instead, for the fan art that has been archived, because it's also, because of volume, it's impossible for me to tell what that archive even looks like, because I'd have to go through every video that's ever been demonetized, which is also, what, 50, 60, 70 hours of content alone, not counting how long it would take me to comb through it. What might work is if I start going through old fan art and basically re-showcasing it in YouTube shorts, going through it bit by bit.
That was what I was gonna suggest. It's a lot easier to just do that.
Yeah, just like literally redo all of that work again from the ground up, as opposed to doing something else. And also, that would just be a fun little project to do anyway, and hopefully... Oh, this one I'm not going to be able...
If you don't mind, I'm going to manifest the energy of a piss tuber, and I'll be right back.
Fair enough. Everybody just remember that Tessa's currently pissing, for those of you who have that kink. Lord Azart says, I understand it's sad, but I'd rather have your channel than a video with my fan art on it. Yeah, I think that's what I might end up doing. Maybe even do a couple of those episodes here on the subathon. Just do a few fan art related videos that are just about the fan art, and just cataloging all of that from the beginning of the channel till now. There's damn near 2,000 pieces of artwork to go through. So at the very least, that's a lot of YouTube short stuff that we could have for fun. Stoff says to Shaw, what is going on there? This is why you have a back platform like Odyssey if you don't have enough disk space. True. Every video that's been released on my channel actually is archived on Odyssey. All of my content's archived over on Odyssey. So if people are worried about that content disappearing from the internet forever, it is there. Like, it is there for people to see. Charlie says it'd be sad but understandable in my honest opinion. Yeah, and I might see it. Just such as I have no idea what's going on. Are you going to include the NSFW in those videos? So just like how I can't include the NSFW in my main channel reviews for artwork, I can't really include it in the old stuff either. I can't do it on dedicated videos because it's going on the same platforms. I wouldn't stress as much if you have to delist YouTube videos. Fair. Fair. That one gets unlisted. Are we sure that unlisting is enough? Hold on.
I'm back.
Tessa, I wanted to verify. Are you sure that delisting is enough, or should I actually private videos entirely?
According to YouTube staff, when you unlist or private, it's effectively the same thing.
Okay, it just depends. It just changes if people can see it on a playlist, basically.
Yeah. And with unlisted, the thing with unlisted, the benefit for that is if you want to give people a link to it, that's what the unlisted feature is for. But if you want to just completely private it and only you can see it, that's what private is for.
Gotcha. Man, I have 2 pieces of the Anime Exposed series got partially blocked in some countries and hit by copyright. That's interesting. There's so much here that just needed to get yeeted. This is sad.
I wanted to ask, did you have more questions, Suris?
Yes, actually, I do. So we've covered what to do as a beginning creator. We've covered the we'll just basically call it the authenticity market. The new types of content that are functioning for creators right now. But I did want to throw the question to you. When somebody is trying to... What's the best way to word this? When somebody is trying to niche down into an audience, what is the best way for them to determine what kind of niche to go for? I have my own answer in my head, but I want to see if it's the same where you're concerned.
Well, for me, the best content is one that resonates to you. That's my own kind of philosophy. So, because if, for example, you asked me to, instead of giving advice on marketing, streaming, management, and all that kind of stuff, if you asked me to do advice column on taxes, not only am I going to struggle, but I'm not going to want to learn about taxes along the way with everyone else. Mm-hmm. It's just not my interest. That's my mother's interest, is taxes. She's goddamn good at it. I'm pretty sure she could have caught Al Capone herself. I've told her that joke a lot. So for me, if I were to niche down and you asked me to do gaming, I would then ask myself, okay, Tessa, what kind of games do I resonate with? What can I play and have a goddamn good time with? Well, I actually take a look at a few things. Number one, I look at what's trending, and I also compare it to my library. And I say, okay, so if I can do something that's trending, maybe I could also do something that I personally really like personally. And so I want to be able to do 2 things. Number one, I want to do something that's for myself. But number 2, I want to actually get eyeballs and get discovered passively. And so I will look at different things. And I actually have looked at that list myself. So for me, I personally would play something like Backpack Battles. It's inventory management, the game, literally. And with Backpack Battles, I would be able to do the inventory management, have fun, but also I could still do my normal shtick of giving advice column essentially for my content, because right now I've been doing nothing but advice column type of content. If I wanted to expand out into gaming, this is the kind of thing I would do, the kind of thing that I would be able to multitask with and be able to do that and continue playing, because my ADHD, my autism has such a bad hyper focus. I cannot multitask. I just cannot do it for the life of me. So if I'm doing a game for myself and I personally want to stay on brand, I want to do something that will allow me to multitask to the best of my ability. And if for me, I have what I call STEM games, and stimulation, just something that neurospicy people do. For me, for example, I'm playing very quietly Hanafuda. Hanafuda is a quick little cute card game that actually is featured in Yakuza. But I have a dedicated game just for Hanafuda that I'm playing very mindlessly. I don't have to think too hard to do the thing, and so I'm able to talk about a thing while doing the thing. And essentially, we're back to like 2010 commentary gaming videos type of deal. And with that, I can do. There's enough patience there from people that I can maintain an audience from. And so that's something that I could probably niche down with. Now, for someone else who isn't neurospicy or doesn't have that specific issue with being neurospicy, you can take a look at yourself and be like, okay, what can I actually, if I have to stream for 3 hours or more, you got to think about that. 3 hours is a long time, minimum. If you're doing 4 or 5 hours, even better, but it's difficult to get through that time because you have to do a lot of talking to yourself. And so for what I do as a basic tip, I have post-it notes. Soon, if I wanted to go all out, I can get the Elgato teleprompter, which is a good tool, very good tool for this exact purpose, and more, way more, especially if you're doing scripted content. But I personally stick with post-it notes. I've been doing this for over a decade, tried and true. I just write down on 1, 2, or 3 post-it notes, 5 to 10 different bullet points or more. For me, I personally go up to like 15 or 20, because I'm just chatting. And sometimes the topics line up with each other, and I just go boom, 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 and suddenly 3 hours pass, and I still got a few bullet points to go. And then I could just save that for later. And then I just find myself being able to do that over and over again. And so if I'm niching down, I want to make sure that I'm enjoying the thing I'm doing. I'm able to talk through it and learn how to enjoy the actual hobby of streaming, but also that I actually am able to entertain people while I'm at it. And if I wanted to explore other niches, I could, but that's going to take time. And maybe even a new channel is better for that. But for now, you have to narrow down on something. So if you want to play, say, Soulsborne, that's a very specific niche with a very dedicated audience. It's always growing too, but it's still a very dedicated audience. It's a relatively small one compared to other niches. So if you want to be a Soulsborne player and you suck ass at it, but you love the lore and all that, you can get better at it. You can start streaming, and people do enjoy the journey. They like the training arc. And so you could just be sitting there playing Dark Souls 1 Remastered. You could play the game no one wants to talk about for good reason, Dark Souls 2, then Dark Souls 3, then Bloodborne, then Elden Ring, then so on and so forth for any other Soulsborne types of games. And that would be your niche. And if you wanted to expand out of that, now that's a question that you cross the bridge when you get there with. And what you do with that is you ask your audience specifically what they would like to watch. And so you gather qualitative data by either talking with them during just chatting segments that you put aside. Like I have people do what I call sandwiching. So you do like just chatting for 15 to 30 minutes or more. then you do your game, then just chatting. So during those just chatting segments, you can ask your audience and talk to them about what they want to see. A lot of times they're just not going to respond. And so you can give them something like a Google form to take a survey of. And you got to start to learn how to do surveys. That's a different skill. But you can look up tutorials or like crash courses on how to make good surveys. And once you ask those specific questions, like, hey, what kind of games do you like to see? I'm also going to be releasing a template for that for Google Docs, or for Google Forms. I'm going to be releasing a template. It's pretty much done. I just need to spruce it up. But you can find templates like mine, or you can make up your own that's specific to your audience. And you can ask them very specific questions like, hey, what games have you enjoyed seeing? What games do you want to see? What non-gaming type of content do you want to see? You give them options like hobby streaming, crafts, makers and crafts. Like you are doing like gunpla, you're sewing, literally anything you can think of.
Anything that
anything
you personally enjoy that you will not burn out on by doing.
Correct. And doing it for multiple hours on end. Things that you know that people can actually checklist. Or like cooking. If you're open to cooking on stream and confident you can talk to people for hours on end, okay, put that down. All right, so you have yourself a nice survey. People answer. Maybe you get like 10, 15 responses. That's enough of a core audience to move on with. Let's say like you're in your early stages of content creation journey. You're like at 25 CCV. Let's just say Stacy VT is, she was a Soulsborne player and a dedicated piss tuber. Very, very good.
Jesus Christ. That term.
Very dedicated piss tuber. She commits to the bit 110%. Actually pisses in a Mountain Dew bottle. You know, it's happened many times. Actually, there's corporate VTubers that have actually done that. And one of them, her name is Shiki from Prison Project. She accidentally drank that Mountain Dew bottle.
Oh, God, no.
And so they call her Shiki Dew now.
No. So
Anyways, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
So you can take, let's say Stacy VT has 25 CCV. She's done playing Soulsborne games for a while, and she wants to move into like cooking streams, whatever.
Real quick for people who are not mired in the content creator lingo, CCV is concurrent viewers. Yeah,
average concurrent viewers, mind you, too. And a concurrent viewer as well is like right now. Suris has 138, and he fluctuates above that. But if the whole stream was nothing but like in the 130s, 140s, it would take the average of all those timestamps in the video, and there's your average concurrent viewership.
It's actually 168 because of YouTube as well.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just adding the 28 people who are watching on YouTube on arbitrarily.
No, it's fine. That's perfectly fine. So essentially, what Stacy VT is going to be doing, the legendary piss tuber of my hypothetical, she's going to start doing cooking streams. Sure, she had 25 CCV for just Soulsborne, but 10 of them were just there for Soulsborne, and they liked watching someone improve. That is what a lot of them will do. They just like watching beginners, because when a beginner tries with fresh eyes into a game you love, maybe they're going to do something different and something new to something that you've never seen before. And that happens more often than you think. And that's why that's an actual viewer trend in those categories. And so Stacy becomes a cooking streamer. And she brings 15 of those 25 people. Sure, she's lost 10, but now she's in a direction that's something that she can sustain and be interested in. And she keeps doing that, and then she grows from that.
So she's going to end up bleeding off the people who were there to see the beginners, a lot of them, but she's going to end up keeping a lot of people who were there for the journey, and now they're committed.
Mm-hmm.
Quince45 says, what is Tessa's channel? So Tessa actually has a Twitch channel as well. You can actually hit Shoutout on her name, but I can also grab it real quick if you would like me to.
I'm also going to grab my YouTube as well,
Yeah.
because I'm going to start uploading VODs to it.
Go ahead and link those into the... Oh, I have a question to throw at you in regards to that as well. Throw those into... There we go. There's the shout out that's been given there. And let me go ahead and throw that link into YouTube as well. So there's a lovely tool, or the one of the last questions I wanted to ask, because you're talking about VODs. I have a set of tools that I would recommend to people, but I want to know what tools you would recommend to people who are not just starting out, because if you're just starting out, my recommendation is use your goddamn phone. It's the best microphone you own. Trust me. Holy fucking shit. Anyway, my recommendation for tools, I have a list for new people and a list for established people, but I want to know what your recommendation for tools for people who are established. They're like the under 10 viewer, the person who's they've started their content creation journey and they
wanting just have extra money.
They're wanting to grow. No, I'm not even saying extra money. I'm saying if there's any free tools you would recommend them, because if they're working with 10 concurrent viewers, they're not making any money off of their channel yet. Not really.
So here, I have a standard for that. I did get canceled for microphone issues, and that's how you discovered me. And so...
Because you gave the exact same advice that my friend Gilly gave, and he's actually a musician. So...
please swear to God use XLR microphones, but I've actually adjusted my opinion a little bit. It's a low standard, low bar, but trust me, number one, with microphones, you get what you pay for. But also number two, the best microphone is one people can actually hear you without much interference with, or without much like bullshit going on. And especially if you're neurospicy like myself and you have sensitive hearing, you don't hear a lot of static electricity coming from just the microphone itself. No matter what you do, that staticness is not going away because of the build of the microphone, the cord, whatever the fuck it is. So get a microphone that is actually not going to have those issues. And so one of those things, even for a USB, there's like USB versions of XLR microphones. So if you wanted to get like yourself an AT2020 USB microphone, that's going to be perfectly fine. It's a very well built microphone. There's plenty of really good microphones out there for different price ranges. It all depends on what you want. And so I'm actually going to...
I'd say for USB microphones, I'd almost recommend Fifine as like they are probably the budget USB mic kings.
So there's actually a channel that I just gave you if you want to give your chat that, but this is a channel that you can see the microphones for yourself. This man has a dedicated niche to just reviewing microphones to such a thorough degree. If you want to see what you want before you buy at any kind of price point, this is what you're going to want. A channel that is really good like this.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and drop that link in there for the people on Twitch.
Because it just depends. There's no single good microphone because there's different tools for different situations. So like let's go back to like Stacy, for example. She's not like massive or anything, but for her, she's probably gonna need something that is more mobile. Sure, she can get a tripod and put the microphone over her, and that's fine. But you know, if she really wants a lot of control, she's gonna want what's called a lavalier mic that attaches to her clothing.
Also, just in general, tripods, I will very quickly veto any advice that involves using a tripod for a mic for one reason and one reason alone. A tripod will actually translate any movement that you have near your desk into the mic directly.
Yep. Especially if it's a desk tripod, it's going to be pretty awful for that feedback. But there's a lot of people who start with that. You know, it's not bad to start with. But if you really have a sensitive audience or just want to improve your quality in general, get yourself a boom arm, get yourself a shock mount. But if you also have like a lavalier mic that you're using for different crafting, like streams that you're up and about with, you can get yourself a boom arm and attach it to like a table that you're working with, or just go with a lavalier mic that's of decent quality like the Rode Go 2. And you can very well get extremely good quality with that. And especially if you need your hands, you don't have a desk that you're sitting at and you're just working with like an overhead, like you have a camera on a tripod looking down doing a hand cam stream of like cooking, gunpla, whatever, and you want to actually talk into a microphone, but you can then utilize your other microphone to put close to what you're doing so there's ASMR quality. Now you are upgrading into something very different. And so
You're
have
actually
to
even
look.
moving a content niche just by changing your equipment.
Yep. And so you have to do a little bit of research, actually get feedback from people who are actually experienced with audio, please. Because just asking random people for suggestions, it's not always going to go well because what may work for one creator doesn't work for another. So if a creator is like, yeah, I use the blue Yeti snowball, and you're trying to do something like ASMR, or you're trying to do like a cooking stream, like I'm saying, and you're being mobile, you're gonna capture fucking everything. What you need for those kind of streams is capturing specific sounds.
Not to mention, there's going to be. So you mentioned, background static stuff like that comes from microphones. I'll mention one more thing that can come from a mic, specifically the one you mentioned, the Yeti Snowball 10. If you've ever listened to audio from your phone, you'll notice that your phone's export audio, it sounds tinny. You don't want to like start a rave in your basement using your phone as the primary sound, like the primary sound device. Mics like the Yeti Snowball actually have a tinny quality to them, and they add that quality to your audio. So as people are listening to your audio on better devices, they won't hear a difference on a phone, but if they're listening to your audio in a headphones, they're going to hear a little bit of tin. None of the bass from your voice is going to actually translate very well in those mics. And if you are wanting to improve your audio, mics like that are going to cause you problems.
And so there's different ways to actually solve that, even if you have a shitty USB microphone, because I've worked with a lot of them at this point. So the best thing that is going to be one of your best friends is an equalizer. So you're going to want to, you can get equalizers for free by Reaper. So if you look up Reaper VST plugins, you're going to find a page that goes to the Reaper website. And Reaper is a digital audio workspace, a DAW, and they give out they have free tools for OBS so that you can have a completely organized or completely in-depth suite of tools and plugins that will be able to help you improve your audio for free, completely free.
If you're live streaming, you also have a lot of plugins for that available natively in programs like OBS that are also free. Like you've got options to fix that problem.
And there's a lot of tutorials for this kind of stuff. Like if you look up like OBS equalizer tutorial and you just search that on YouTube, you're gonna find a lot of tutorials. You can just follow some of them and you're gonna be completely fine. But there is one extra thing I will say. If you're feminine in any kind of way, you're kind of shit out of luck a little bit. And so you have to, if you're unfortunately have a more feminine voice in that frequency of range, because we do have a higher frequency that we have to work with, a lot of these tutorials are made by guys having settings for themselves.
They're going to be talking about adding bass and treble to your audio and stuff that's just not going to help you a lot.
Right, and so if you want to do that, the best thing you can do for yourself is actually learn. No matter if you are male, female, non-binary, trans, doesn't matter. What you want to do is learn what these tools actually do, and you can find very quick tutorials on YouTube and through a Google search. Essentially, you want a crash course on these basic plugins, so that you know exactly what you're doing, and so you can actually utilize these things to your advantage. And then once you actually learn what the stuff does, you can then actually fine-tune it and play around with it until you get the right settings. You can do process of elimination with it. And for me, that's effectively what I do. And there's a smart way of doing it. And When I'm working with people personally and equalizing their stuff, doing just very minor audio engineering work with people, I make sure that I know what they're working with. I know what their microphone is. I know what their room is like. If they have hardwood floor or they have carpet. If they have any kind of sound treatment. Usually they don't. And so then I'm able to understand what they're doing, and I have them run some tests, and then we figure it out as we go. And so if you want other things, I see that there's like a suggestion for Adobe Podcast Enhance. The one tool I would actually fully endorse and use would be NVIDIA's broadcast tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's AI enhanced, and it's actually more fine-tuned than the Adobe Podcast Enhance, because not every tool is built the same, and there's reviews about it. And so it's also something that I've worked with different clients. So the NVIDIA one is actually better used, but there's one thing: if you're just using that alone, you're not going to get universal results. So if you put on an EQ, you put on a noise gate, if you put on any other thing that you need for your situation, that's when you can then put on one of those tools on to take care of the rest. It should be a supplementary thing rather than the main fix.
I would also suggest something for people who are working on making content and are wanting to improve their stuff. Please, please, please make use of other free tools that are available to you. For instance, if you are creating content by being a Twitch streamer or being a YouTube streamer, and you want to create what's called a lightning rod for your channel, what you want to do is you want to have content that is clipped from your Twitch and put over to YouTube. Now, a lot of streamers do this thing, which it does not help them. They will go, hey, can people please clip that? Can people please clip that? Can people please clip that? There are free tools that you have access to which will allow you to hit a button on your keyboard and will grab a recording of the last 30 seconds of your stream. And if you're simul streaming onto YouTube, that is already available just as part of being on YouTube. Do not constantly rely on your audience to help you when it comes to creating clips for your channel. It's not a very good idea. You're going to end up having certain regulars that are willing to do it for you, and then the days they're not there, you're just going to be screwed, and you're going to feel like you're not performing as well as you could be, because now an essential part of your content creation pipeline is basically missing, and it's effectively an unpaid intern in your audience, literally. What I do, and I would recommend this for people as well, get a feel for when you know you're going to be doing something that is recordable, when you know something is going to be content worthy, and set up a keyboard hotkey, or if you've got a Stream Deck, use that, but set up a keyboard hotkey for recording on OBS, and just, as you know you're going to do something, or as you think something's going to happen, hit the record button. Worst case scenario, you don't get something that you can use over on YouTube, and you end up deleting it off your hard drive. But the best case scenario is you don't have to comb through an 8-hour live stream to find content. You just have it on your hard drive now, and you can just choose to use it or not.
I actually have a tutorial I'm about to drop into chat. I give this to every client that doesn't have a Stream Deck. Stream Deck is going to be one of the most useful investments you ever make as a streamer, but you can easily use a number keypad for that. There is a very specific tutorial by a person. I personally think he's an asshole, but he makes good work. That's what a lot of people say about me too. They don't like me, but they can't deny the work I do. So I at least give that courtesy. But this guy, really good tutorials. And this is going to be really useful for you for exactly what he's talking about. And there's one other function that is common. If you download any apps, or if you set up hotkeys yourself, stream markers is a function that will put a highlighted pin onto a timestamp. Essentially, you're timestamping as you go. And so when you think of something interesting, when you know something interesting is happening, you can timestamp it as you go. And you have to really get in the habit of it. It's an alternative idea. based on what you're doing. So if you're like grabbing a VOD whole and you're trying to split it up into segments, and that's part of your content production pipeline, using stream markers as you go is going to be a good way to go for that. There's the clipping function as well, but and that's all that's really good when you have like a really funny moment. You just clip, and past 30 seconds or even a minute pass by for the past 30 seconds or so, and you grab that as a video, done. But if you want to take everything into a video editor, stream markers, you're going to want to get in the habit of that. And that way, when you go to the video editor, you can find the exact timestamps when something begins and ends, and then cut accordingly.
Bomber Fox is thinking about the 20-bit cheer, says, I guess I should have tried that when streaming Leica Age Through Blood, though it's kind of hard to focus on clipping from a hotkey when you got so much to focus on. It's true. It's true that you've got a lot of focus on when you're streaming. You've got, like, just for me right now, I've got a conversation with Tessa. I've got 2 chats. I've got my my input from Twitch, so OOs and other words that I'm not allowed to say for legal reasons that come through there. I've got a third monitor on the right-hand side where I'm literally just unlisting videos right now that have been hit with the demonetization thing for channel health. You're juggling a lot of things when you're recording, but guess what I'm also doing this entire time? I'm recording this conversation with the knowledge that this is going to be put on YouTube in an edited form later, and you guys are going to watch me edit it live. There's going to be a fan art section put at the end of it and everything. So it is hard, but it is possible. And if you want to make content creation your job, just like if you were starting a new job at, let's even say, the fast food restaurant, and you were given the, what feels like the impossible task, I need you to cook on these 4 grills. But then you see everybody else there has that skill. Everybody else who's working at that job with you, they have the skill of cooking on all those grills at the same time. That tells you that you can do it. It's just a matter of picking up the habit, learning the skill. It feels daunting until it feels automatic. And as soon as it feels automatic, you're going to wonder why you didn't have those skills to begin with, or why they felt like they were daunting in the beginning.
One key word here, skills. I was harping on a lot earlier, content creation is a set of skills, just like any other. You're going to be very bad at it or not even do it at all. But once you actually put an effort, a conscious, mindful effort of doing it more and more and more, it gets easier as you go. And maybe you even start getting more accurate. You start finding better ways of doing the thing that work for you personally. And that's what we want to just make very clear. Make sure that you understand that these are skills and you need to get better at them. And you have a lot of habits along with it. And habits, there's actually a thing. What is it like? It takes like 90 days to develop a habit or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, and so if you're doing it just constantly, you're going to be fine.
Also, thank you for the hydrate stuff. It's gonna take you a while. A thing to recognize with any of these things, it may take you months to figure out any of this stuff in a way that makes it feel natural for you. But once you've gotten to the point where things start feeling more natural, guess what? The hard part's done. Realistically, if you're doing content creation, if you started streaming, you've already done the hard part. There are people in my Ask Suris section on Discord who have been asking me for years. Like, they literally will come back and ask the question again, month after month after month. Hey, do you have any general advice for somebody who wants to start doing content? If you're already starting content, you got the worst part done. You put your foot in the door. Now all that's left to do is suck at it for a while until you stop sucking at it. Or you can be like me and suck at it the entire time.
I heard sucking.
Hey, Saki's currently asleep. This is a suck-free zone until she wakes up.
Suck with 2 C's, got it.
My God, there are 426 videos on my channel that are all currently demonetized. And they are almost all unlisted now.
What's next on the docket, my guy?
So, I guess the last thing would be, with YouTube and Twitch having these more changed environments, what advice do you have for people who want to hit the ground running? They don't want to do things slowly. They don't want to just start the stream or start the content pipeline. They want to start with the best possible start they can so that they never have to ask a streamer ever again, what would you do to get started?
How much money do you have?
Let's say that their budget is $50. We'll just give them that.
Okay. Okay, because, yeah, you could very easily be coming in with like 100K. And, yeah, you can really hit the ground running with 100K, let me tell you. You're paying to win right there, my chief. Yeah, $50. Okay. Can we make it 100?
No.
Okay,
I need this to be the so price of a Nintendo. They have the price of a Nintendo Wii game.
We got $50 of ramen, and we're doing $50 of investment, and it's my job to make you into a success. Okay, let me. Okay, I think I've got an idea. No, you're not going to spend on a $50 mic. What you're going to do is, this is actually something that me and Yumi joke about a lot, because it was actually, when I got canceled over my microphone autistic meltdown, people were pointing out the Rock Band microphone. I actually really agree with that. So here's, it's a really durable, actually decent karaoke microphone. Go to a thrift store. You're likely going to find it there. Grab it for like $1. Okay, you got $49 left. Okay, now what you're gonna do is if you're a VTuber, head over to your nearest artist who does PNG models. Get yourself a PNG tuber. If possible, get it for PNG Tuber Plus. Trying to get it under $50 is going to be ridiculous. So you're more likely than not going to only have a very simple rudimentary thing going on. So you're going to be using a program called Video Mini, completely free. You can have yourself a PNG, so that's 2 frames, very small changes. You're going to have, that could very easily run as low as like $10, $15 total. Unfortunately, you won't be able to tip with this budget. Maybe you can tip them at another time in the next commission.
Alternatively, learn how to make a Vroid.
No.
No.
Not unless you know what you're doing, especially with blend shapes and actually Blender. If you're skilled in Blender, yes to Vroid. If not, that uncanny mess will hurt you in the long run, and I'd much rather you have a PNG model. And so, what do we have? 15, $1, 16, minus 50. We have 34 $34 left. Okay, so with that in mind, we have a Rock Band microphone that's USB. It's ready to go. Reaper plugins and OBS are free. So your quality is there. And we're assuming you have a computer, right?
Yes, this person already has a computer.
Okay, if not, you're gonna go to a thrift store, find yourself a Raspberry Pi.
You're not gonna find a pie at a thrift store. People don't put pies in thrift stores.
I actually found one.
What?
It was like a Raspberry. It was like an older one.
I've owned 2 pies in my life and I had to build them.
Remember McKay's?
Yes.
That's where it was.
Huh.
So you could very easily grab, you can grab a shitty laptop. If it runs OBS, you're fine. Start off with just chatting. Pick a niche that you actually really fucking like. Go hard on it. And if you're limited, let's just say you have a crap top, right? You got this potato of a laptop and it's only able to run OBS and whatever assets you put on it. And the assets you have, let's just say you found there's free assets everywhere. So you get these free assets, you put them in your credits section, and then you put the assets in. And you got your model. Guess what? You've got $36 left. And you've got yourself an okay-ish Rock Band USB microphone that you got for $1. You equalize it, and it sounds pretty goddamn good. It sounds like a $100 Shure SM58 microphone, but it's a fucking karaoke mic. If I were to use the remaining $36, I would probably get myself okay, so here's what I would do. I would bum rush my fucking way. I would not even have a debut. I would bum rush my ass to getting affiliate within a week. And
I will just straight up say I think debuts are a silly idea and people need to stop doing them.
But promotion is still good. So if you were to spend the rest of that money, I would rather you promote yourself from a motion designer. So you spend the rest of that money on a motion design. You bum rush your ass to get affiliate. You get a few biddies or a sub here and there. Wait for that payment to come in, or you get donations through Coffee. You use some of that money. You promote yourself with a motion graphics designer. And let's say you want to promote that YouTube channel. So you do that. You promote that YouTube channel. You start putting clips into, let's say also you're multi-streaming. If you wanted to really go at this and hit the ground running, I would multi-stream. So that way you're not expecting any kind of viewership from the YouTube channel. You're just having high quality VODs that are automatically there, you know? And what you can do from there is promote the fuck out of that YouTube channel with that motion graphics designer request that you're putting in with the rest of that $36, and maybe some other donations that you get from after a week of streaming. From there, you start promoting your thing, then you start uploading videos once you start getting a little bit of traction. And while that traction is happening, you already have videos scheduled and lined up that you recorded off of that crop top with the PNG model. And you're just sitting here slowly, painstakingly working with like 4 gigabytes of RAM, and like you're really hurting. And so we're gonna use some kind of low effort, easy to go video editor. Let's say it's Shoutout.
I would say DaVinci Resolve, but okay.
Too heavy for a crop top. So we're
fair.
going with Shoutout. Shoutout is going to be, it's free and open source, very lightweight. I would say Kdenlive, but Kdenlive is too much for a crop top, so Shoutout it is. And so you're going to be fine with just that. And you'll be able to upload vlogs that way and become Chad VT. The end.
So now their goal is to get to where Chad VT started.
Yes.
Basically.
So with Chad V, that path towards Chad VT becomes what we talked about earlier, where you're just really looking at that data and really focusing on what the audience actually wants, and then providing that. And then once you're doing it on stream too, you can integrate the two together, so that way you have a VOD of what you've done, but also you can slice it up, upload the sliced up things. You're gonna have to live without a video editor for a while, I'm gonna be honest. But you slice up those videos. They're not the best job you've ever done, but it's good content. Let's just say Chad VT, he's an entertaining guy. Let's just say he's funny. Makes no sex jokes. Not that sex jokes are bad, but we're talking about Chad here.
He's a Chad not because he makes the sex jokes. He's a Chad because he says the jokes, because he definitely totally has sex. Probably.
He doesn't need to make jokes about a thing that is a common reality for him.
Yes, did you know that I can get in with my 2-incher and I can still make her dissatisfied? Wait.
I make her orgasm just by looking at her.
You make women think they want an orgasm, and then you make them sad.
Chad VT gets doxed and people figure out his name is Chad Thundercock.
Oh my. Fennec, you're just like, what? Fennec, don't tell me you've never left a partner unsatisfied. I'm not saying out yourself. I'm just saying, you know.
But yeah, I would, in short, I feel like you have just absolutely jack and shit. You can make things work under $50 and a vlog channel, honestly. And you're just doing just chatting, and then you're clipping that out, and you're making a vlog channel as you go. You can actually do it. especially if you optimize the hell out of it. You can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say you wanted to understand YouTube Studio because you can't afford someone like me, nor do you want to be scammed by anyone else who tries to do my work. You're gonna go and get yourself a free certification with Google to learn Google Analytics. Different product, but it works the exact fucking same. You get a certification while you're at it that's actually valued for jobs. And then you go back and you're like, huh, I understand YouTube Studio now. Then you're looking and looking, and you're like, huh, I see line go down. What about other metrics? Okay, metrics say this. That's why line go down. What if I did this? And then you start aggressively experimenting, and you find yourself with an actual content flow that you like. And that would be the rest of your content creation journey in a nutshell. That's if you're like doing it alone, $50 crap top. Hell, even if you have better stuff, still do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather people have something like what I have, because I have like 5 different expressions with the PNG model, versus some other design that didn't resonate with me. Mm-hmm. This design that I have now resonates with me. It also stands the fuck out. For VTubers, you have to worry about design. For flesh people, flesh tubers, you have to have an okay enough camera and be aesthetically pleasing. People do care about looks, but not all the time. It really depends on the community. It really does.
Sometimes people are here so you literally look like the ugly bastard VT that Merryweather has made. Sometimes people are there looking for that. And that's why I stopped using my camera. Nixie Chan, thank you for giving me your points for you fucking degen.
So, if anyone else has any kind of questions, I'm open to taking them.
Yeah, this is where I want to go ahead and open things up for audience questions. Anybody who, both on YouTube and on Twitch, but as we know, everybody on Twitch are second-class citizens to the ones on YouTube. So, you know, service doesn't guarantee citizenship here. So even worse, if you look like the Quartering mixed with Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, look, if you look like the Quartering, all you have to do to get views on the internet is complain about your wife and piss in your basement, and then suddenly PewDiePie will give you a shout-out, and your life will be fixed. I wish I was joking about any of those events that have happened in the Quartering's life. But
it's like you can do a 2 truths, 1 lie, and most of them, they're all true.
So does that make you a piss tuber? No. You need a colonoscopy bag to be a true piss tuber. There needs to be a literal piss tube, or you're not doing it right.
You really suck at networking. That would be the field of social skills.
That would literally be suck less.
Well, with the field of social skills, it's a skill set, so you actually have to try and do the thing. I myself have social anxiety, yet my job as a manager includes networking every day. It's somehow the introvert and social anxiety person havers worst nightmare, and yet I do it every single day. And so the way I do it is I just kind of like close my mind and I just send messages. Overthinking is going to be the enemy, so you just have to send the first thing on your mind, even if it's like you're me, like with me, Suris can confirm, I will not give long texts. I will text 5 different strings of messages, all in like 1 sentence each, because I'm trying not to overthink what I want to say. Otherwise, I won't send it and I'll do something else. And so you have to force yourself to socialize.
Fun fact, real quick, just to interrupt for a quick second, Tessa, I have a news update.
Do you know?
Yes, I do. So you know how I went and unlisted 426 videos from my channel just now?
You poor bastard.
So YouTube 27 minutes ago, while I was doing this, just sent me a notification on my email saying we wanted to let you know that our team reviewed your content and we think it violates our medical misinformation policy. Apparently, going through and delisting older videos actually causes YouTube to rescan that content. Huh. That's
will
cool
recover.
to know.
You will recover from this. They're unlisted. They can't hurt you beyond this.
That's
Sure,
so weird.
It's like you trying to leave a room and then you get opportunity attacked.
I won't recover, though. The paladin will never use lay on hands because I told him that this is my safety box and not to fucking touch me. I don't trust members of the church touching me.
Did you forget your safety word?
No, I didn't forget my safety word. You forgot the safety word. just to prove that I remembered the safety word. What was the safety word?
Dicks.
Suris Blizzy Wave.
Lunastia, thank you very much for the subscription. I just subscribe for dicks, I guess. Also, real quick, has anybody been following Naomi's poll on Twitch? Boy pussy versus girl cock?
Girl cock.
Girl cock.
So to wrap up the networking thing, you also want to... It's first and foremost, learn how to talk to people. Then second, you can start being picky. Learn to deal with conflict because a lot of people may not be compatible for you, but you need to learn how to do conflict management. So yeah, you need to actually learn to navigate it, and that's where you start making friends.
Like, sometimes you have to have a conflict with Yumi about whether or not it's okay for her to play Fortnite, despite how cringy it is.
She will never touch Fortnite.
She said maybe. She also said I needed to give her a really good argument.
So there was another one that is like, what if you fucking suck at literally everything? So I have clients like that. Sometimes I'm not going to name any names because I'm not trying to down talk anyone. It's just you start with something. And so if you're not good at anything, if you're not interested in anything, you need to experiment very quickly to see if you're going to be interested at something, or if there's a skill that interests you in something enough for you to want to practice it and show others how you practice it and aggressively learn, then yeah, that's a way to do it. But if you can't even do that, then I'm sorry to say that content creation is not right for you.
Yeah, sometimes the fact of the matter is, with content creation, you are an entertainer. No matter if you are in the education sector, no matter if you're talking about gaming, no matter if you're talking about politics, at the end of the day, your primary skill is entertainment. That's the thing that causes people to maintain their attention. Whether they are watching you be angry, whether they are watching you be happy, sad, what have you, you have to have a way to keep people entertained, because entertainment is engagement. If you do not have an interest in entertaining people, then you should not try to be a content creator, because that's like having no interest in food and taking up a lifelong career as a chef. You
Because
are walking into the wrong door.
Because at that point, you have to do a lot of introspection and understand why you want to be a content creator in the first place. And oftentimes, there are people that I've consulted over the past 3 years who I haven't seen ever again, and they graduated because they looked at themselves and they thought, well, I only wanted this because I was lonely. I wanted attention, which are all valid human needs. And maybe trying to do content creation is not the way to do it. Yes, maybe you work full time and you have mental health issues, but content creation is not going to help that. Therapy will, but also finding the right community and the right hobby is probably the thing that will help you.
Yeah, I will say there are two of the worst reasons to become a content creator are to make friends and to make money. That just flat out, because
and to want fame too, because that's a separate reason with separate issues. And I find a lot of people who come into content creation wanting to be famous and craving that attention, that exact desire undoes them before they even get started.
No, people can smell that from a mile away. Other content creators will tell that you're inauthentic. They will realize what you're doing. Now, I will say that there is a point, because I've had conversations with a lot of content creators behind the scenes at conventions and stuff, and there is a point where a lot of content creators are just doing something for the money. But here's the thing. A lot of those creators, they've been established for maybe a decade. They're doing it for the money now because it's their job, and they have to do it that way. And if they don't think of it that way, they will only make content when they truly want to, and at that point, they have to just get another job, and they're not making content for you anymore. But that's people who've been doing this for 8 years, a decade, sometimes longer. This is not the people who are starting out. If you start out going, yes, I want to make money. Yes, I want to be famous. Yes, I want to make friends. People are going to see that desperation. They're going to see that, and they're going to go, you're an inauthentic person. I don't want to deal with you. I don't have the time to deal with you. And if you catch fire and burn in some drama spiel because you're chasing that amulet, I don't want to be associated with you when that happens.
Reputation ends up being one of the most important things, believe it or not. And there comes a point in time where you have to understand that the world is bigger than just yourself. And so everyone wants their tribe at the end of the day, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you need to understand that cliques are going to be a thing, and you ain't in it.
Yeah.
And so you have to work that much harder to prove yourself. It's really unfair, but you have to pierce through, or you just find people who gravitate towards you. And yes, that actually does happen. And when you do develop the social skills and charisma enough, that will actually happen where people want to be around you. Like for me and Suris, we're friends, and yes, I was like his full-time manager, but that doesn't, I don't associate with him still because I want money from him. I associate with him because I vibe with him, and he's a really good friend, and he's actually someone I could see having a lifelong friendship with. But and I know it's vice versa because, well, he told me. But
look, I don't travel to different states to go see random people. I do that for friends I trust.
Exactly. And
That's
if it was just a commission that you did, expecting just a very simple business transaction, you wouldn't have gone across state lines to just hang out with me.
It's just
and sleep over.
The person who designed the background that's behind you, the model that I'm using right now, Pernia. I consider Pernia a very good friend as well. And so when I went up to Boston for the convention up there at PAX, I made it a point on my way up to stop in and see Pernia so we could have lunch together. And as I have the ability to do that, I did that with my artist Glebanex. I would do that with Yara if Yara were not in, fucking Germany. My thumbnail artist, Micah, I met in real life first at a convention. These are people that I try to maintain friendships with over and above just having a contractual obligement with.
Yeah, and sometimes... if you wanted to be cynical, you could say that you're buying friendship that way, but at the end of the day, when you're a creator, you do need people's services. And with the nature of content creation, your branding is you. Even if you're playing a character, that you is going to leak into that persona. And you will need to work with others, and even outside of their business relationships, them understanding you will also help them do their job better. And so even if you're working with a video editor, they do want to get to know you more. And so you then end up developing a friendship. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, and there's nothing bad about it. It's just like
working at any other job. You will inevitably make friends in your proximity. That's just how being a human being works. If you've ever read the book The 4-Day Workweek or Rich Dad Poor Dad, there's a concept that's talked about in both of those books, which is there's connections you make out of convenience, and there's connections you make because you have sought out those connections. Most people, we make our relationships, we make our friendships, we make all of these things out of convenience. They are the people who are in our proximity. It just happens that if you are a career content creator, the people who are in your proximity may be both friends of convenience and also the friends you need to be seeking out anyway. They're people that can help you along your content creation journey because they're on the same journey that you're on. But most of the time, think about the circle of friends you have. They're the friends from the third place you go to. For me, it would be a card shop. They're friends from work. They're friends from when you grew up in school. They're people who just happen to be around you, and so you happen to know them. They're people you met at the bar. They're not people, generally speaking, that you went and sought out in any way, shape, or form, because that's how human beings operate.
And it's interesting that you mentioned a third place, because that does go into the whole, why are you a content creator in the first place? And maybe the solution is not trying to be a content creator, but maybe the solution is you need a third place. And you're trying to turn social media into the third place. And that's obviously going to create a lot of issues.
Oh yeah, because eventually you might, if you start doing content creation as your job after you started using it as a third place, if the idea between places, it's a social concept. Your first place is your home. It's the area that you eat, sleep, shit. That's your first place. Your second place is your job, the area you go to work, the area you go to make money. And your third place is the place you go to relax. A lot of mental health problems actually develop when you start compounding these into the same place. If you have a work from home job, and also the only way you relax is by playing online games, your first, second, and third place are all the exact same location. And those lines start to blur, and depression starts to set in pretty awfully. Segmenting those places, at least on some level, is more helpful for your mental health than you might realize.
Let me give an example too, because it is a difficult thing, because more and more third places are just vanishing off the fucking map.
Malls are disappearing, and they're the easiest default place.
Parks are disappearing. They're walkable cities. What are those? So like Yumi is actually a really good example. My girlfriend, and she was on Suris's show before. Her third place often is either with me, and we're going on road trips and actually going to different areas in the region, because where we live is a very small college town. It's
nothing there.
There's not much to do besides hiking and maybe thrift shopping. But beyond that, we need stimulus. And so we have to actually go out of our way and drive an hour and a half in any direction to get to another place that is interesting. And so her third place, if we don't have the money to go on a road trip, is going on VR chat. And what's helped her what I think is helpful for her is not doing VR chat every day anymore, and her actually going on VR chat. Yes, it is something that she streams, but then on community nights, Discord and VR chat both kind of combine and segment so much to the point where it's actually just hanging out and not necessarily entertaining. She's there to just chill and hang out. And a virtual space like that can get very involved and real. And for her, she also experiences phantom touch. So like if you reach out and touch her, she will feel it. And so she is actually at a different place. And so she is actually psychologically in a third place. And so that's why something like VR chat is so popular still, is because it's a third place for people. And so if that's what you need, then maybe you should save up and invest in a VR headset. It doesn't need to be an Index, it could just be a Quest, but something, because you could do it on desktop, but you're not going to get the immersiveness that way. If you get a VR headset, you will. And maybe that's the answer for you. And maybe not doing all of this content grind and trying to do all these different investments to try to get attention. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons people end up graduating, I would think, or stop streaming entirely. And VTubing people graduate, quote unquote, because it's based on idol culture. And so a lot of people end up going because they didn't meet their expectations, but also psychologically speaking, there's something much deeper that is being unfulfilled, unmet needs. And so they have to resolve them elsewhere.
Also, 4 minutes ago, Fisakai. I didn't catch this when it happened. Apologies, I'm still adjusting to multi-streaming. Thank you very much for the subscription, and also, I might be the laughing man. Thank you for the follow. Wanted to get those while I was thinking about them.
Oh, definitely. And I see there's another one. Let's see. Do you guys think people would, from Freedom Inc., do you think people would watch wire art streams? Yeah, the art category on Twitch is very vast and very wide. And so if you're bringing something else to the table, even if it's as a VTuber or just you doing a hand cam stream, if you're just sitting there doing actual wire art, that's actually really interesting and it brings something to the table. If you're consistent with it, yes, you're going to find an audience that wants you.
You just have to keep on doing the thing. Unfortunately, there's two traps that a lot of people fall into. One, they start doing content on a hyperfixation. And the problem with doing content on a hyperfixation is hyperfixations are, by their very definition, temporary. If I had started a channel on Nerf guns, while I was hyperfixated on that, I might have made some banger content for 3 months. And then it would disappear. It'd be gone. The other one, aside from doing content on a hyperfixation, is forgetting why you started doing content in the first place. Like, I just forgot what the actual point I was trying to make with the second one was. Like, right now. I literally forgot what my second point was.
There's another thing is, it's okay to have hyperfixations too, because there's one very specific thing you have to do if that's going to be the thing. Because let's just say your ADHD and autism are just... Your neurospiciness is at a level that not even habaneros or ghost peppers can match. Mm-hmm. You need to build... It's much better if you build a YouTube channel, but you can build a Twitch around this where you are, like I mentioned earlier, where I've literally told people, just discover hobbies, see what you like, and then just hyperfixate on it, and then go to the next hobby. And essentially, you become a hobby channel. And there's plenty of that on YouTube. There's a lot of them. And essentially, they go two ways. They become like review channels, or they become vlogging channels, where they're just discovering the thing, or they're reviewing the thing. And those are two very different ways, but also two different pathways you can go with it. Or you can be very, well, there is a third way. That would be Mr. Beast type of way. If you have the editing skills for that, or a good editor, and you have a little extra money to throw around, then yes, you could take the Mr. Beast method with that hyperfixation approach. It's expensive, but if you have the money, the disposable income, yeah, go for it. I want to try to give advice to people who do have disposable income too, and that I work with that. So if that's the way you want to go and you do have disposable income, yes, that is a third way you can do it.
You can be the person that buys, base set of Pokemon cards and does YouTube shorts exclusively on opening those cards and losing literal millions of dollars. Nobody's saying you can't do it. I'm just saying instead give those packs to me so that I can have a retirement. Magpie says, "What flavor is concrete? Whatever flavor you mixed into the into the bag. You can take blue raspberry Kool-Aid and concrete, add water, and your concrete will have a flavor to it. I just still don't recommend eating it." Maki Himiko says, "Nostalgia toy shorts are also a thing on my feed." Yeah, I mean, algorithms are going to feed you things based off of what you are already watching. The longer you look at any piece of media on YouTube, the higher the chance it will recommend you more of that media. But do we have any last questions for Tessa before I go ahead and let her go so that Yumi can subject her to life? Just life. And Mixed Dandy says, "Did I miss Ninju?" Yes, because we covered that yesterday. That's already an edited video up on the channel. Tessa, have you seen God's Gang?
No.
It is a multicultural, multi-religious animation project where basically Captain Planet protagonists fight against scientists, aliens, and other things. The characters' names are Taekwon Hindu, Su Muslim, Ninju, and Crisscross. Yes. Crisscross fights by deflecting people by inflating his cheeks because he turns the other cheek. Su Muslim fights using explosive falafels because he's a Muslim, so of course he has to have bombs.
Okay, there's two things. I have two minds that could either be the most awesome animation project in the world, or it could be the most offensive and floppy material I've ever seen.
And guess what? I can't figure out which one it is either, and I did a whole review of it. Oh yeah, Ninju literally has Jewish space lasers.
It's literally like they very well could have been produced by people of that heritage, and they wanted to make something like intentionally went with, we're gonna make something so bad it's good, and intentionally do it. And I don't know if that's like deeply offensive or a spark of genius. I'm leaning towards spark of genius.
Go watch it. Just trust me.
You're gonna have to DM me because I'm gonna forget it. There was one question by someone that was actually interesting. Nox Lupus kept asking throughout the stream and now again, how do you manage your privacy as a creator? I think that's the question.
Do you want that answer from both me and Tessa, or do you want it just from Tessa? Because we probably have vastly different answers. I'll go ahead and default to Tessa answering first, though.
Privacy. Well, I can get real in depth with it, but I'm gonna give as short of an answer as I possibly can. If you're taking here's one thing. If you're taking pictures around you, try not to take pictures that could physically identify and that could possibly geolocate where you are. So try to actually close up any kind of windows if you're taking a picture. Make sure you're also just not showing too much of your house as well, because that can be tracked as well. 4chan has done 4chan and Kiwi Farms has done very scary things. And so you're going to want to just put it into like an independent room that you're going to take a picture in. Take the picture. If it's your own room, put it on your bed. Just take the picture of whatever it is you want to take a picture of on the bed, and you're good. If you want, I unironically do endorse VPNs. But also the biggest thing is going to be two-factor authentication. Now we're going into like basic cybersecurity, but it's important, trust me. I've been targeted by Kiwi Farms so goddamn much in my life, and none of them have ever gotten through and done anything to me because I'm very privacy conscious. And so two-factor authentication is going to be really good. Having a password manager is going to be really good. Bitwarden is what I use personally. It's completely free. As for my two-factor authentication, I just use Google Authentication. Okay. Authy is another good one.
I use Authy. It doesn't
matter.
Authy is wonderful.
Really doesn't matter as long as it does the function that it needs to do, which is randomly generate passwords on a timely basis. Make sure you have decent passwords. Also when you're making your Wi-Fi router as well, that's going to be another thing, because who knows if your neighbors are into the thing you are in, and that's one way they can dox you is by logging into your Wi-Fi and seeing all your router details. So putting some sort of complicated password that you can honestly either pull up on a password manager and painstakingly enter and being okay with that sacrifice of convenience, or just something complicated enough but memorable. like mnemonics. Another thing is, if you're really, really privacy conscious, don't ever show your face. And that's one of the benefits of VTubing is the privacy, because you're not showing your face. But if you don't care about that as much, then you don't need to worry. You can still do VTubing because whatever, or you can just be face cam, whatever you want. But VTubing adds a layer of privacy. The VPN thing is helpful too in general. There's plenty of other very basic cybersecurity 101 stuff. You're going to want to... You can really understand the how-to and way more if you just look up tutorials online of how to increase your internet security and your basic cybersecurity. Just look up basic tutorials on your privacy. It'll work wonders.
Excellent. I think for me, my answer to how do I maintain my privacy is I largely don't. My first and last name are both public knowledge. My district in Georgia is public knowledge. The only things that are not really public knowledge are like the areas I frequent, and the place I live. But I also have the added layer of if you come to my house, Georgia's a stand your ground state, so please don't roll those dice. I beg of you. Like, just that's where my stuff is concerned. As far as digital security, I use all the same stuff that Tessa was mentioning. Password systems, very complicated passwords, using VPNs, using two-factor authentication. All of that stuff is incredibly useful, and I would echo its helpfulness, especially with that one time that Call for an Uprising tried to come for my channel.
Save nothing on your browser, by the way. Do not rely on your browser for security or anything. Keep everything on different things. Also, do like digital literacy. I just mentioned it, but that's also stuff you can look up tutorials on, crash courses even. But it's excruciatingly crucial. If you want to be privacy conscious, you need to learn basics of internet safety. Because if you don't periodically, like deep cleaning your room, it's the same thing. You need to deep cleaning your house. Sometimes you just need to really dust up everywhere and wash your blankets. And if you do that once a month, cool, you're doing it better than not doing it at all. Same thing would apply to clearing your browser cache and other kind of sensitive information. Never store your debit cards anywhere. It's just, you can do it in safe locations, but better safe than sorry on that one. Just, if you can keep things physical in convenient locations like a wallet, fine. I even go as far as having like a YubiKey to store sensitive information if I have to. That YubiKey is like a little USB key that I put on my keychain, literally, where I will encrypt entire folders of sensitive information like taxes and other kind of really highly sensitive information. Hell, like when I have to upload like Social Security to different things like student loans or government websites and any kind of information, I encrypt that. Hell, for the VPN I go with is Proton VPN. It also comes with encrypted email. It also comes with encrypted cloud storage, and it's all based in, I think it's Sweden, which has really good privacy laws.
I feel bad since I mostly use the built-in VPN in Opera.
That, some kind of VPN is better than none. For me, I use Proton, and I encrypt everything that's extremely sensitive. So if I were to put my credit card information on something, I would encrypt the fuck out of it. And the extra layer, since I'm a paranoid bitch with high amounts of anxiety, I put it on a YubiKey, which is a physical protection of authentication, where for me to access that, I literally need to insert a key into a USB slot and authenticate it that way.
Okay.
And there's no other way you can get that unless you have the damn key.
Well, fair enough. So I hope that answers the problem.
Switzerland, thank you, guy. The laughing man guy. Switzerland. Good privacy laws.
So I'm hoping that that answered most of the questions when it came to how do you maintain your privacy while being a content creator. Are there any last questions before we hop off? Though I believe that probably would need to be the last one because we are well over the 2-hour mark on this one. Though, I said, scrolling up real quick, from this weird person called Tessa Villaverde, digital literacy in general is going to be helpful. Don't know who the fuck that is, but I mean, I agree with the statement. Oh, hi, Tessa!
I wonder who that is. Wow.
Weird.
That's kind of quirky, you know?
Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, don't. When you're using a camera, don't point it upwards. Don't let people see. I mean, even as small as like seeing the stars visible in your area, maybe not a good idea. Not near your house, anyway.
Also, if you're streaming, there's one extra asterisk I will say. You're probably not going to want a VPN on while you're streaming. It is a quick sacrifice, but it's something you have to do because you need that consistent bit rate going.
Mm-hmm.
So when streaming is an act of convenience as a hobby, inherently in its nature. So if you're trying to encrypt your data, going out, in and out of your router to the Twitch servers, once it leaves your control, you don't really have control over it. There's no encrypt function on Twitch. So different information is going to be liable. So like, you have to accept some sort of liability when you're... Okay, this is actually an interesting second part of the conversation. The more you make yourself a public figure, the more that you have to sacrifice your privacy, because with fame comes at the expense of privacy. The more famous you are, the less private you are. Even with VTubers, their solution for this is wearing masks in public. So when they go to conventions for meet and greets, and if they don't want to be noticed and want to maintain their privacy, they wear masks. And they keep to themselves in tight groups. That's a really good way of doing things. But beyond that, you really do have to understand. You can be careful about things, but you have to understand that relationship with fame.
It's also a ticking time bomb. So like, you can put on a mask going to a convention, but the more conventions you go to, the more likely that you or somebody around you is going to slip, and the bigger you are, the more variables you have to consider. Just accept that if you are wanting to be a streamer, there will come a point, at some point in your career, where your privacy will be thrown out the window. It is an inevitability at some point.
But for the overwhelming majority of you, it's not something you need to lose sleep over. If you're starting streaming now, there's a good chance, I'm willing to probably bet money that you're not going to get doxxed right away. You're going to be fine. But it's better than not to have your basic safety procedures in place. Actually learn some digital literacy and internet safety. You're going to be okay. Once you make your connections enough and you have people you can actually trust, hang out with them at cons. Try not to go to cons alone, especially if you're feminine and weak like I am. That's not a good idea. People spike drinks all the time. That kind of trend has not gone away. It's still very alive and active, as if the 70s were roaring.
I can also say so I was at a VIP party for Whatnot, the streaming platform for mixing eBay and Twitch, which I have opinions on, but they're not for this video. So I was at a VIP party for Whatnot where they were trying to get a lot of people who were streamers to start becoming Whatnot streamers. The food was free and the alcohol was free, and it was open bar. Just think about that for a minute. Think about how many people are exchanging drinks and food in a very short amount of time in a crowded space. You can and will lose track of your shit very, very, very easily and very, very, very quickly. Also, I've never seen as many YouTubers as drunk as they were at that point. Never give open bar to a bunch of people who are tired of dealing with the public. Just saying. But if you are a content creator and you start to do decently well on any platforms, the likelihood that you will get into those situations where you're in a big open area where alcohol is flowing freely, that chance increases the longer you do this, the more circles that you end up being involved in. So I'm not saying anything happened at that event. I'm saying that people would literally sit their drink down, turn around to talk to a friend or an acquaintance, and then turn back around to their drink constantly. And that's like the one time you don't want to do that. You don't know half the people there.
But yes, at least have a +1 around you at any given time. I've heard way too many horror stories from friends, a lot of actual genuine crimes that I've had to work through with friends, and just hearing like the first conventions that VTubers actually were a part of, and a lot of women actually getting spiked with their drinks, that being an issue at a con, and just boom, 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 boom. Lots of them were getting spiked drinks. It's just, you really have to be careful and don't do things alone.
Yep.
And for me personally, when it comes to alcohol, I will not, in public spaces like that, I will not ever drink alcohol that doesn't come out of a bottle, a sealed bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So for those kind of things, you do need to learn safety as well. So like, if you're at a buffet that is at a very public space, yeah, you're going to want to have some hygienic protocols, right? Same thing would apply to a convention. You're going to want to think about hygiene. As it, like, you want to mask up at cons. There's a good chance you're going to get COVID or the cold, the flu, whatever. Same thing would apply to trying to prevent yourself from being crimed upon, if that's a word.
When people decide to be straight and do crimes.
But yeah, you're always wanting, it's 2 brains are better than 1. Let's just say that. 2 brain cells. Yep. Always have 1 extra brain cell with you.
Borrow the brain cell from your friend.
Exactly. And that's not always foolproof. Things can happen, but it's not something you should lose sleep over. If you have that friend with you and you do get spiked, they can carry you to safety to the room that you have. Or at least a couch in like a hotel lobby, and you could just ride that out.
Yeah, you will never be upset having friends around you who are keeping an eye on you and your shit.
Yeah.
That said, though, Tessa, I do want to thank you very much for graciously bringing your time, or not bringing your time, bringing yourself and giving your time. There we go. I'm tired and sick. To the stream. I greatly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Do you have any closing things that you want to leave my audience with, both here on Twitch, YouTube, and YouTube too, whenever this goes out as an edited video?
Well, I can give the YouTube. Well, you have my YouTube. So I am planning to put out more VODs onto my channel. So if you want to look back at streams that I do, you can do that, or you can just go to my Twitch and the VODs are going to be there. I'm highlighting all of my VODs, so there's a lot of advice there if you want them for free that way. If you need any kind of help at all, my Discord server is also open. I've always had it as a help forum. So if you have questions and I'm not available, someone else in the community can answer your questions that are streamer related. And beyond that, I do have one other thing to plug.
Okay.
It's that Suris is a really good guy and you should keep watching him.
Why?
Because I said so.
I'm sorry, Tessa. We established on previous streams you are the bottom. I don't think you can command people with that.
Okay.
Look,
Okay, hi. I'm hungry.
you're... Hi, hungry. I'm Suris.
No, no dad jokes. No, not like this.
Not like this.
Not ever. Because you don't understand. I live with Yumi.
I
2
know.
years, and I have to hear dad jokes all the time.
I was with Yumi for 2 days, and I understood. You know, after Yumi decided to not be a coward and came out of her room.
I'll tell her you were talking shit.
Oh, what's she gonna do? Threaten me with a collab?
Yes, because you were
Cool.
actually drained.
Cool. Then I guess we have a collab with Yumi. I need to figure out
Oh,
something to
guess
do with
what?
Yumi soon.
You do actually have a collab with
The
her.
Mario Kart one, yes.
Yes, so that's the thing we could plug.
And what date is that going to be, Tessa?
That is going to be. I'm going to check the pin message. November 16th at 1 p.m. EST.
Excellent.
Suris here will join a Mario Kart collab, and I hope you all show the fuck up and root for him.
I will
And,
be playing
well,
Rosalina because she's taller than me.
all of the other piss tubers. I intentionally made it so that everyone there is very high energy and chaotic.
I'm not high energy or chaotic.
We'll see
My
about
chat is.
that. We'll see about that. You'll be able to vibe well.
Oh, I figured as much. That everybody in that group looks to be a very good bean. Except Yumi.
All right. I think
Right.
I am hungry and tired.
Go get some food. I'm actually gonna go ahead and turn on my deep fryer so I can just toss some gyoza in there as well.
Oh, that sounds good.
Look, Walmart has like this Type A prepackaged gyoza that you can just steam or fry or pan sear very, very easily. It's nice. All right, thank you very much for hopping on, Tessa.
You're welcome.
I will see you later.
Bye.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability that Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you. I'm not saying that part. And Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.